Brittany. So, today's gonna be a Back in Time Watches video, and today I'll be sharing with you a memory of the first time that I've watched Sleepy Hollow. So, I remember, oh man, I'm trying to think, how old was I? I'm trying to think. I think when I did first watched Sleepy Hollow, it was when I was maybe 14? I'm trying to think, either 14 or 15, around there. I'm not sure, but it was around there. And when I first watched this, I have never read the book. I never read the book of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I had never heard of the story before, so upon watching the movie, it was just quite new to me, and I saw it was directed by Tim Burton. I'm like, really? Oh, interesting. Because, I had seen other Tim Burton movies, like Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands. Let's see, even there's just some other ones that I've seen, but this one I was like, so of course, as I'm watching this, I can tell it looked like this scary movie, like this ominous movie. And so and so as it starts out and everything. And at first, when I saw what looked like blood dripping, that's what I thought. I thought, is that blood dripping? But then it was actually a candle. It was like some kind of wax where it was dripping to seal it with a envelope. So I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, because whenever I see that looks like something red and it's dripping, I automatically think, oh, it's that blood. But then if it's not, it's something else, I'm like, oh, okay. And seeing how it was starting out at the beginning, I'm like, okay, this is I can tell the music feels a little intense. It feels like, something's gonna happen, and then something did. And then by the time that this guy peeked his head out of the carriage, the carriage driver was headless. And so seeing that, I'm like, shocked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What happened? How did the carriage driver lost the, you know I mean, even when it comes to things like that, it really, oh, I don't like things like that. Of anything where someone, like, uh, you know, headless, oh, that's so unnerving. It's just very unsettling. Um, but then later, when he gets out and he's scared and he doesn't know what to do, and then later when he comes across into, I think, this field, and then he sees a scarecrow, but the scarecrow of course looks like Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas, where he has the pumpkin head. So of course it looks like that. And I think that was a reference to Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I think that was a nice reference that they did in the movie. Um, but then he hears something from behind him, and then when he turns around, we're not seeing what he's seeing, but then all of a sudden his like, all of a sudden we can see his someone, whoever it was that he saw, had just decapitated him. Oh, I really hate that. So I remember after that, and we see that the blood is splattered onto the scarecrow on the pumpkin head is like, at least for me, it was when I first watched it, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, and that's when I started to think, okay, what kind of movie is this? What just happened here? Like, first it was the carriage driver that was headless, and now this guy who just got out of the carriage because his carriage driver had just been killed, and now he was just that. So at first I really started to question, like, okay, what movie is this? Like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, watching this movie. And so, of course, it shows that the story takes place, I think, no, I'm sorry, not 1799. I'm so sorry, my mind. I think I'm just still feeling like, ugh, from the whole that, and plus with me having a cat. I'm mixing up my words here. I think because with me having a caffeine withdrawal, I almost said 19 when it's actually 17.99, so forgive me on that. And so, and of course, seeing Johnny Depp and seeing um, how he plays the character of Ichabod Crane, and how later he is being sent to Sleepy Hollow and to investigate a murder that had just happened. And so, of course, when he arrives there, we can see that no one engages into a conversation with him, no one interacts with him, or even welcomes him into Sleepy Hollow. But I think it's because of that they know what he doesn't know, which he will know later. Um, so yeah, upon watching this, I just remember thinking like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, with watching this movie. But the scene where they're telling him, of telling this story about the Hessian and how he was this ruthless, I'm trying to think, was he a killer? I mean, to me, that's what it seemed like. And so, and and what I found disturbing, and this is the one thing I did not expect, but when they showed the flashback and he's telling him this story about the Hessian, it shows Christopher Walken, who plays the role of the Hessian, and it shows he has this really jagged, sharp teeth. So seeing that and seeing how he looks scary like that, I remember I was just like surprised. I'm like, wait, what? So yeah, actually, I was quite surprised seeing Christopher Walken. I'm like, what? And just seeing him playing this role, and all of a sudden when he's making no sounds, like he's not talking, but he's like, that. So seeing that, I'm like, okay. So I got quite scared. I did. I remember feeling just quite scared and just feeling like, okay, I feel like I should back away here because he seems very aggressive, and the way he looked just was intimidating but scary looking, and so I'm like, okay, you don't want to come across this character. But I say that he played the role quite well. But yeah, that's how it was. Where I just felt like, oh my gosh, and that's just that's just how it was at first. And so seeing that when he was killing these people, and even the way he was killing them, that some of them he was, you know, decapitating. So even just seeing that, I'm just like shocked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and so I'm like, okay, what's going on here, you know? But then later, when it shows how, when they finally caught him, and that when they did kill him, that they actually killed him by, well, of course, that um so yeah, they actually killed him with his own sword, and they buried him along with his head. and so, like I said, so that's what happened. And so yeah, as we can see, that after he is telling the story about what happened, how since then that the woods are haunted by his spirit. And so when he's saying this, I'm like, okay, I have no doubt about this whatsoever. If it is in fact that the woods are haunted by his evil spirit, and that he's probably killing these people because maybe the way he was killed, and because maybe now he's killing them for revenge. And so yeah, then I thought, okay, I wouldn't doubt it one bit if this is actually happening. Like something, um, if it was something like that, if it was his evil spirit that was killing these people. So, and of course, we can see Johnny Depp, he's like shaking because he's so scared. And I don't blame him, because I was feeling the exact same way, except a, a little different. But I just want to say that as I'm watching this for the first time, there's just some things where I thought, like, okay, this is good. But then when it came to those scenes where you see him and he's killing these people in a very disturbing way, when it comes to that, like the Queen of Hearts type of way. Um, so to see that, each time I saw a scene where it would show the character being killed off like that, I just felt shocked and just like scared and so utterly disturbed. And with me, I'm just like, I'm speechless. I have no words, and I'm thinking, okay, I get what's going on here with the story now. Okay, I understand a little bit more, but do they have to show that? Do they really have to show these characters being killed in a way where it's so um disturbing and very unsettling like that? Because to me, that's just so horrible. It's very horrible for a person to be killed like that. To me, it's like, regardless if this was either a fictional story or even a real story, uh, no, I would not want to see that, not even if it's just like in a movie. And I know people would say that, like, well, it's a movie, they were acting, so, it wasn't really happening. They were using, props, it was all special effects. It's like, and practical effects. So I'm like, okay, I know that, I get that, but either way, whether it's a movie or not, whether this was a fictional story or not, I don't want to see anyone being killed like that, like decapitated. No, 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 no. So yeah, I remember I was just thinking that, like, did they had to show that? Do they have? Do they really have to show these characters being killed like that? Because it's very disturbing, it's very unsettling, and I don't like it. So I will say this, even though it is a good movie, and even though I do like the story, but I just don't like just seeing that. I really don't. And I know maybe there are some people who can handle seeing something like that, even if it's fake, even if it's just for a movie. And that, I mean, okay, but I just don't like seeing that regardless. Whether it's in this movie or in any other movie, I just don't. But anyway, so besides that, yeah, I just remember during this whole time, I kept thinking, okay, so what's really going on here and why is this happening? So I thought maybe it is haunted. Maybe his spirit is killing these people in the most disturbing way. But then of course later on when it was revealed that even though it is him doing that, but that's not him doing it himself of his own doing, but he's being controlled by this witch, and how she's the one who has his head, his skeletal um, head, where she was the one controlling him with witchcraft, and so seeing that, I remember I was surprised too. I'm just like, no way, like, what? But even this whole time I thought, okay, you know what, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. And so, but like I said, even while watching this movie, when it came to those parts, I remember just feeling so disturbed, very unsettled. But at the same time, there are some other things I did like where it had nothing to do with those scenes. And so I just kept thinking, okay, so why is this happening? And what's really going on here? And so there are some things that did unfold where I was just like, wait, what? And so yeah, there are some things I was quite surprised to. And then but then of course, like I said, when it came to find later when it was revealed that this woman who was a witch and she was controlling the horseman because she has his skeletal head, and she was the one telling him who to kill, and even though because she had her reasons why, so I'm like, oh my gosh. So not only was I surprised, but I'm like, are you kidding me? This was her? She was doing this the whole time? And I'm like, oh my gosh. But so even seeing how the way it ended, I was not expecting that. And also it was also disturbing is that when Johnny Depp with Ichabod Crane, when he threw his skeletal head and he got it back and he put it on, and then you can see like the veins growing back on and the muscles and everything, and also we can see him almost like he's going through this excruciating pain of getting his head back and regaining back those veins, muscles, and skin and everything. And so, yeah, even the sounds he makes as it sounds like he's in pain is like, whoa, okay. And then at some point, when everything's back and everything, and then yeah, and we can see like, okay, but when he looks at Ichabod and what was her name again? You know, oh, that's right, Katrina. So when he looks at them, he just looks at them, but he doesn't do anything to them because he knows the person that was controlling him. So of course he gets her, and I can't understand this, but he kisses her. Like, knowing the sharp teeth that he had, he uh kisses her, and I just want to say, I just want to ask why that is, because I don't know if that was him saying, because you control me, this is what you get, and maybe he was somehow biting her tongue while kissing her. I mean, I don't know. So I don't know if that was payback, or I don't know if somehow he liked her, and maybe in a way that was like a thank you in a way, or I don't know if it was a way of him saying, I don't know, like that. I don't know if that was somehow he liked her and he thought, like that. I don't know, but yeah, he kissed her, but she's like bleeding because he has so sharp teeth, you know. And then he takes her with him, I think, to into this what seems like this other dimension through the tree, which I'm thinking probably led to hell. And so, and if that's the case, then yeah, I think that's what happened. But yeah, so my question is, why did he kiss her? Like, I don't understand that too. Why? That's something that doesn't quite make sense, but I don't know. But if anyone who knows, let me know. But that's what happened. And, and even when he takes her with him, it's like, okay, looks like he wants her with him, you know? But overall, yeah, I do like how it ended because I did have a good ending where the case was solved and that he finally knew what was going on and who it was and how all of this happened to why. So I'm glad that that was like solved in the ending. But yeah, I'm glad how it ended where he returns to New York. He returns to New York, but with Katrina and with yeah, Masbeth to New York, and it was the year 1800. So yeah, it was the new year for them. So new year, new start. So yeah, I'm glad how it ended. But overall, the first time of watching this movie, but when it came to those particular parts, again, I was disturbed, very unsettled, and it's something I don't like to see. Not even if it's just, even if it's all makeup and special effects and practical effects, I just don't like seeing any kind of character being killed off in that way. To me, it's just too, well, I would say it's just beyond horrible, and just very I find it very dark and very evil for someone to be killed off like that. So that's why I don't like it, because it's just very unsettling. So I don't like it. But I'm just being honest about that. But overall, after watching it, I thought, okay, I may not have liked those parts, but I do like the story. I do think it was interesting, and I do think some parts were scary, and it had this very ominous tone to it, and of course the music was really great, and I loved the cast and their performances, and even with Christopher Walken's performance, he did a great job, even if he had no dialogue, but his performance alone was just uh unique, and it was just really great to watch, even if he didn't say anything. But I think him just playing the Hessian was just this very intimidating but very menacing um, character. Just seeing him doing what he was doing, but even that alone was really great, and I give him credit for that. And yeah, again, like I said, the music's great and everything else. Everyone did a great job on this movie. So yeah, after the first time watching it, I thought, okay, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to watch this movie again, but if I do, I probably might, but I just probably won't look at those scenes. But I would say even after that, there's times on and off where I probably would watch it, but when I do, I still don't like seeing those particular um, execution, uh, killing parts in that way. So yeah, so that I just don't look. But other than that, I do like the story, and yeah, it is a good movie. So Tim Burton did a good job. So yeah, that was my first time watching it, and I was probably 14 or 15, and so yeah, I would say this is also a good Tim Burton movie. And he did a different take on this, and it's quite different from anything else he did, but he did a good job. So anyway, that was the first time that I've watched it, and hope you enjoyed this story time here. So, so for more movie content and dream content, subscribe and click on the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. And comment down below if you love Sleepy Hollow. That's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.